and it goes on the inside of the wall of clay that you've already put there, see? It's like flush, and then it's pinched up. So it really becomes like one piece of clay. It's all one piece forming in whatever form you, wherever you go with it. And that's kind of what I do all day long. It's just, you can see it goes, and this is what you're going to do in a little bit. And you can work, I work on several pieces at a time. You could, the clay is quite soft, so it needs time to harden. Like this one's quite hard, here, in order to carry on without it cracking. So you can see the little butt starting to form here. But let's see. I'll show you this one. So that coiling, I'll show you again when we make the eggs, but that coiling and pinching and paddling method is, as I said, you can do anything with it. You can make pots, you can make animals, you can make a house with that method. So this, when I'm building these forms, it's all, I'm doing that pinching all the way up to this point, and I make the foot and the hands and the face separately and attach them in this way.
Do you ever have issues with your stuff cracking?
That what?
Do you have any problems with your stuff cracking when you dye? Especially when you add the feeding on, just you can't put it on the inside?
It's quite a delicate thing to know how hard. It has to be kind of dried out before you attach this, and otherwise it's going to fall off. But driving over here, I actually did have that thought, because I'm usually not moving it around after I've attached the foot, and I sort of had an vision of this like going point when I'm driving home. But anyway, we'll deal with that later. But this is. This foot also has kind of dried out a little bit overnight and sort of roughed out. I'll probably work on the toes a little bit more. Does that look about right?
It's got ankles.
What? Ankles. So one's going to be longer than the other. Okay, well, this looks pretty close. And sometimes I'll do this several times. Have to put it on, cut it off, put it on again, or they're two look awfully close together here.
How many days have you been working on this one, Joe?
So this is 2 days. Yeah, so the first day probably brought it to this point, and then another, like in the morning, brought it up here, and then afternoon to here.
So how many hours in a day?
Oh, 24. Let's see, how many hours am I working on? Oh, several.
But you were working on a couple at the same time,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you were over here and then you were over
Yeah.
there.
Or I go and do an email to a gallery or a friend. So, or come here and talk to you guys. But one thing I've noticed in making these larger pieces in China, okay, that looks about right. So then I kind of smooth it out like this. I never really realized that until I started making these big figures, that these arms and legs are like really short, a lot shorter than like our arms and legs.
Right, it's no ankles.
No ankles? That's an ankle. What do you know
You
ankle?
got an ankle critic heckler.
My daughter told me said something about cankles, and I was like, it's like when people don't have ankles, it's just the leg from the knee to the ankle. And so I can't stop thinking, I'm like,
Okay.
ankle.
But, so when I get to making these big figures, the forms that they make are based on the small clay form that I take them. And when I get to making a big form, the arms and legs all look like really short, like kind of like this, you know. So I end up having to like cut that armature and extend all the, because when it gets to be big, your perspective is different, and it needs to be, they all have to be longer. So you kind of rough it out. He's got an ankle. So then I cut a hole, and this is how I do the head also with the face. You know, I attach the face and cut a hole in the head, and then, I don't know if you all can see this, but I work from the inside, you know, where it's, I kind of join it, that ankle part to the inside. And every now and then, they do crack, you know, in the greenware, in the loading of the kiln, during the firing, and sometimes it's acceptable, it's okay crack, and sometimes it's not okay, you know. There's always some loss in the firing, and so then now I'm back to that same pinch method that we started the waste with, adding. And close that in a little bit. I'm doing this a little faster than I usually do it at home, just so I can show you. And I almost screwed up. Sometimes I have to like complete it, and then I see that it's like too long, and I have to cut that foot off again. Yeah.
Joy, do you cut it in the same joint, or do you like change it so that it's a different, you know, you're not working the same area?
I cut it at the same place. This black stuff is, I think it's just the organic material in the clay from that paper, and it all, like this was all black before, it all oxidizes back to the brown clay color.
That's good. At least it shows you where it's wet, right?
Well, it's not that it's wet, this is, I mean, it's a little wetter, but it's more to do with the air. That's like organic material that, as it is exposed to the air. So this is still pretty wet too in here, and it's just different colored. Okay, I think you get the idea. Hopefully the foot won't fall off. But it's close to the right length. Can you see it swinging? There's the tongue. So I think what I'd like to do is show you, you all need some clay. So we